The Massacre of New Eden. The colony of New Eden floated peacefully in the Sigma system, home to 12 million human souls. Children played in the biodomes while farmers tended to vast hydroponic gardens. It was humanity's proudest achievement, a self-sufficient world far from Earth. Captain James stood on the observation deck of the colony's defense station, watching cargo ships dock with supplies from Earth. His lieutenant, Maria, approached with the morning reports. "All sectors reporting normal activity, sir." That normalcy shattered when proximity alarms screamed across the station. Through the viewport, James saw them, hundreds of alien warships dropping out of hyperspace. The Dominion had arrived. The Dominion was a coalition of 5 alien races who ruled this sector of the galaxy, with iron tentacles and plasma cannons. Their leader, Admiral Vex of the reptilian Saurians, commanded from his flagship. To him, humans were nothing but primitive apes who had ventured too far from their tree. "Broadcasting on all frequencies," Vex announced to his fleet. "The mammals have built their nest in our territory. Show them the price of trespassing." James rushed to the communications panel. "This is New Eden Colony to approaching vessels. We are a peaceful settlement. We have no quarrel with—" The first plasma barrage cut his words short. The defense station's shields flared and died in seconds. James watched in horror as the alien fleet systematically targeted the residential domes. "Evacuate everyone," James shouted, but it was too late. The Dominion ships moved with cruel precision. They weren't just destroying, they were making an example. Maria grabbed James's arm. "Sir, we need to launch the emergency beacon to Earth." As James activated the quantum transmitter, he saw the agricultural domes exploding one by one. Each contained thousands of colonists. The Children's Education Center vanished in a ball of green fire. The medical facilities, the research labs, the refugee quarters where families had just arrived from Earth, all reduced to cosmic dust. The Dominion took their time. 3 hours of continuous bombardment. They wanted any human ship passing through the system to see what remained. When their weapons finally fell silent, New Eden was gone. 12 million voices silenced. Only debris and frozen bodies remained, floating in the void. Admiral Vex's message echoed across subspace channels. "Let this be a lesson to the human pestilence. Stay in your own system, or face extinction." Back on Earth, the emergency beacon arrived at Space Command headquarters. General Robert Blake read the data in stunned silence. The room full of officers watched their commander's face turn from shock to something else, something that hadn't been seen in human eyes since the darkest days of their history. "They killed 12 million civilians," Blake said quietly. "Children, families, scientists, doctors." He stood slowly, his voice gaining strength. "They think we're weak. They think we'll cower." He turned to his staff. "Alert the Council. Activate Protocol 7. "Sir, Protocol 7 hasn't been used since we promised ourselves we'd never be victims again," Blake finished. "The Dominion wants to see what humans are capable of. They just signed their own death warrant." Across Earth and its colonies, factories that had been producing civilian goods switched to military production. Ships designed for exploration were retrofitted with weapons humanity had hoped to never use. The planet that had spent 50 years reaching for the stars in peace now prepared for war. In underground bunkers, scientists unsealed vault doors that hadn't been opened in decades. Inside were weapons designed during humanity's darkest periods. Devices so terrible that their creators had begged future generations to never use them. Dr. Helen Park stood before one such vault. The antimatter bombs, the nanoswarm missiles, the singularity generators. She looked at her team. "God help us, we're actually going to use them." Within days, Earth's response fleet was assembled. Not the small patrol ships the aliens expected, but something else entirely. Humanity had been peaceful by choice, not by weakness. Now that choice had been taken away. General Blake stood before the assembled fleet. "The Dominion thinks we're primitives. They're about to learn that we didn't crawl out of the caves yesterday. We crawled out of hell. And we remember how to send others there." The engines of 1,000 warships roared to life. The Wrath of the Forgotten. The Dominion's capital ship. Pride of Scales drifted through the Vega system. Admiral Vex basking in his victory. His lieutenant, a 4-armed creature named Crix, approached with reports from their spy networks. "Admiral, the humans have sent a fleet from Earth. Approximately 1,000 vessels." Vex laughed, a harsh grinding sound. 1,000? We have 5,000 ships across our empire. These mammals learn nothing from pain. What Vex didn't know was that humanity had spent decades studying every alien race they encountered, not for war but for understanding. Now that knowledge would serve a different purpose. General Blake's fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Dominion territory. But instead of attacking immediately, they did something unexpected. They broadcast a message on all frequencies. This is General Robert Blake of Earth Command. We offer the Dominion one chance. Surrender those responsible for the New Eden massacre. You have 1 hour. Vex responded with contempt. Primitive apes making demands? We will add your ships to the debris field of your colony. Blake turned to his weapons officer, Commander Lisa Chen. They refused. Launch Operation Starfall. From the human ships, small pods ejected. Thousands of them, each no bigger than a basketball. The Dominion sensors barely registered them as they spread across the system. Vex ordered his fleet to ignore the primitive human trash and prepare for direct combat. Then the pods activated. Each one contained a miniature artificial intelligence and a nugget of antimatter held in magnetic containment. They sought out Dominion ships like hungry wolves. The first wave hit the outer patrol vessels. Ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries vanished in blinding flashes of pure energy. Impossible! Vex roared. Our shields are useless, Blake's voice came through the communications. Antimatter doesn't care about your shields. It only cares about matter. The human fleet moved forward with terrifying coordination. Where the Dominion expected chaotic charging, they found calculated precision. Humanity had learned from every war in their bloody history. They moved like ancient Roman legions, medieval cavalry, and modern tank battalions all at once. Captain Tom Wilson led the destroyer squadron straight into the heart of the enemy formation. His ships fired railguns that accelerated projectiles to near light speed. Dominion vessels that had never faced kinetic weapons at such velocity found their hulls punctured like paper. But humanity's true weapon wasn't their technology. It was their rage focused into purpose. Dr. Helen Park watched from her science vessel as she activated humanity's most terrible creation, the nanoswarm. Microscopic robots, each programmed with one directive: consume and replicate. They landed on Dominion ships and began eating through hull metal, converting it into more nanobots. May God forgive us, she whispered as she watched enemy vessels being devoured from the outside in. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Dominion's third fleet, 2,000 ships, was gone. But Blake wasn't finished. His fleet jumped to the next system, then the next. Each time, they broadcast the same message. This is for New Eden. On the Dominion throne world, Prime Minister Zek of the Council watched the reports in growing horror. How they were peaceful traders. Explorers! His advisor, an ancient insectoid named Buzz, chittered nervously. We forgot something crucial about humans, Excellence. They didn't become the dominant species on their world through peace. They survived ice ages, plagues, and each other. We attacked the children of predators who chose to be prey. Now they choose differently. The human fleet appeared in orbit of 3 major Dominion worlds. But instead of destroying them, Blake broadcast to the populations below. We are not like you. We could burn your worlds as you burned our colony. We could kill your children as you killed ours. But we won't. Evacuate your military installations. You have 12 hours. When the deadline passed, surgical strikes eliminated every military base, shipyard, and weapon depot. The civilian cities remained untouched. The message was clear. Humanity could destroy everything but chose not to. Admiral Vex, hiding in his damaged flagship, sent a desperate message to the Galactic Council. The humans are insane. They fight without honor, without rules. Blake intercepted the transmission and responded publicly. Honor? You murdered 12 million civilians. Rules, you broke them first. We're not insane, Vex, we're human. And now the galaxy knows what that truly means. The human fleet positioned itself around the Dominion throne world. 5,000 enemy ships gathered to make a final stand. The galaxy trembles. The assembled Dominion Armada was the largest fleet gathering in galactic history. 5 races united, their ships blocking out the stars around their throne world. Admiral Vex, scarred from his earlier defeat, commanded from a new flagship. Today we end the human threat forever, he announced to his combined fleet. But General Blake had been planning for this moment. While the Dominion gathered their forces in one place, Human stealth ships had been busy elsewhere. Captain Maria Rodriguez, who had survived New Eden's destruction, led these shadow vessels. "General, we're in position," she reported. "All Dominion supply worlds are targeted." Blake nodded grimly. "Begin Phase 3. The Dominion expected the human fleet to charge into battle. Instead, humanity revealed their true strategy. Across 20 systems simultaneously, human ships appeared at Dominion supply depots, fuel stations, and food production worlds. They didn't destroy them, they captured them. "Admiral!" Crick shouted to Vex. "The humans, they've taken all our supply lines." Without supplies, the massive fleet around the throne world would starve within weeks. But humanity wasn't done. Dr. Park's science vessels released their final creation, an electromagnetic pulse weapon that specifically targeted Dominion technology. The lights went out across the enemy fleet. Not destroyed, but helpless, floating in the dark. Blake opened a channel to every ship, every world, every listening ear in the galaxy. The Dominion Empire ends today, not through genocide, but through defeat. Any ship that powers weapons will be destroyed. Any that surrenders will be spared. One by one, Dominion ships began transmitting surrender codes. The mighty empire that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia fell in a single day. But the true shock came next. The Galactic Council, a body of 50 alien races, called an emergency session. The ancient speaker, a crystalline being named Shard, addressed the assembly. "The humans have defeated the Dominion. What shall be done?" Representatives whispered in fear. If humans could destroy the strongest empire, what could stop them from conquering everything? Then Blake's image appeared in their council chambers. Humanity had hacked their most secure systems. "Distinguished representatives," Blake began. "We could take the Dominion's place. We could rule through fear as they did. But we won't," he paused. "We came to the stars seeking friends, not subjects. We offered peace and were given war. Now we offer peace again." The human fleet began withdrawing from Dominion space, but not before leaving something behind. Defense stations around civilian worlds, food supplies for populations that would have starved, and medical aid for the wounded. A young Dominion officer, Captain Rex, contacted Blake directly. "Why? We killed your people. Why show mercy?" Blake's expression was tired but determined. "Because someone has to break the cycle. Your empire fell because you ruled through fear. We'll succeed because we choose not to." Within months, the political landscape of the galaxy transformed. The Dominion Empire fractured into individual worlds, many requesting trade agreements with Earth. Other aggressive species quietly abandoned their expansion plans. The phrase, "don't wake the humans," became common in military academies across the galaxy. But perhaps the most significant change came from the youngest species. Races that had hidden in fear now emerged, knowing that humanity would respond to calls for help. Earth became not an empire's capital, but a guardian's home. 1 year after New Eden's destruction, humanity built a memorial in its place, a massive station that broadcast the names of the 12 million victims on all frequencies, forever. But they also built something else, a new colony, larger than before, welcoming refugees from all species. Admiral Vex, now imprisoned for war crimes, asked his human guard one day, "How did you defeat us so completely?" The guard, a young man named John, thought for a moment. "You made the same mistake everyone makes about humans. You saw our kindness as weakness. But kindness is a choice, Admiral, and we can choose differently." In the Galactic Council, a new statue was erected, not of a human warrior, but of a human child from New Eden, playing with an alien child. The inscription read, "They could have chosen revenge. They chose justice. They could have chosen conquest. They chose protection." General Blake retired after the war, but his final speech echoed across human space. "We went to the stars with open hands. When those hands were slapped away, we made fists. But now we open them again. The galaxy knows what humanity can do. Now let them know what we choose to do." The stars no longer shook with humanity's wrath. Instead, they glowed a little brighter, knowing that in the darkness between them, Earth stood watch. The end.